Most entrepreneurs drastically underestimate the amount of time it's going to take to actually test, refine and test that idea.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I wanna be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. Today, as Edmonton business coach, we're talking about how you should measure intelligence by action, not ideas. Again, as the Edmonton business coach, we're talking about how you should actually measure intelligence by action and not ideas. I have Michael here with me again. Michael, have you ever met someone who says they're going to do something but never actually does it?
Many times.
They have a good idea, right?
Yeah.
But they never actually do it, right? And we've probably all done it in our own life. Is it easier? Are ideas easier, or is action hard?
Yeah, I guess it's harder to actually just take action.
It is.
Thinking.
Yeah, I think intrinsically we know it. And Gary Vaynerchuk says it, and he says ideas are worthless without the execution. And 50% of all Canadian business will go out of business in 5 years. And the story that we have here is entrepreneurs often incorrectly think that the smartest people win at business. And they start thinking that some people who are the diligent doers can't start a business because they feel they're not smart enough. And there's some other people who are so smart that they think that they can't fail, but they don't do, and they do fail. So Michael, what are the questions that these business owners should be asking?
Are ideas overrated?
Ideas are 100% overrated. There's so many ideas out there in so little time and so little action initiative from people. People love ideas. People hate execution. They're bad at execution. There's so many ideas out there. This information age, there's more ideas out there than you can ever have enough time to execute. It all comes down to execution.
Are people normally drawn to the most effective ideas or the easiest ideas?
And here's the thing, we have to be honest with ourselves. When a lot of times when we're drawn to an idea, sometimes we're not drawn to the effective idea. Sometimes we're drawn to the one that we perceive is going to be the easiest or the least resistant. So we have to recognize our natural bias to be drawn to the ones that appear easier, because they're not always the most effective. And that tends to be, one of the things that effective entrepreneurs do well, is they realize is, hey, I'm not just going to choose the easy to implement idea. I'm going to choose the one that's going to be effective.
Are people normally drawn to new ideas?
That's one of the other biases. So, we're drawn to easy ideas, and even when we have an idea that works, we're drawn to a new idea because it's shiny and it's new, and we like change and we like variety. And we think we're stagnating if we're not always drawn to that new idea. So we have to recognize those biases of being drawn to easier ideas, not necessarily effective ones, and we have to be drawn towards the fact that we like new ones, again, not necessarily tried and tested ideas as well.
Do people normally give up on an idea or initiative too early?
Yeah, even once you get that idea, you get that effective idea and it's efficient to implement, and you start implementing, most entrepreneurs drastically underestimate the amount of time it's going to take to actually test, refine and test that idea. A lot of times when they start executing it, they're simply just bad at executing it, and they blame the idea. They think the idea is broken. I can't generate any leads from online marketing, but their ads suck. They have the wrong keywords in there. The copy is terrible. They don't have a no-brainer on the website. And they just give up way too early. They realize that it's not that the idea was bad, as their execution was bad, and they move on to another idea and execute that one poorly as too. And even if you have that effective idea, it's going to take far longer for that actually to work than most people would think. I mean, we look at our online marketing initiatives. We tell people, in order to build that real sustainable flow of leads, of something that works, that takes 6 to 12 months before you start generating real leads at any sort of scale in a business.
Do customers like complex solutions or simple solutions?
Customers will tend to like simple solutions. They think it's simple, they can understand it, they know exactly how it's delivered, they know exactly what they're getting. and then they choose, I want that one. And if you give a customer a real complex solution, they don't quite understand it. They don't quite know what they're buying. It doesn't quite make sense to them how that's going to work. They're less likely to purchase that complex solution. So I would say that customers, they really like simple solutions, and they're more likely to buy simple solutions that they can understand or that are intuitively correct from where they're sitting.
Is it easier to scale a business with simple processes or complex processes?
It will be easier to scale that business with simple processes rather than complex processes, because as a business owner, you're only going to be able to touch so much of the work coming in or out of that company by yourself. You're going to have to develop systems and train other people to execute those systems. Now, the more complex that systems you devise, the longer it's going to take to document the procedures around those systems, and it's going to take far longer to actually train people to execute those systems and even find the personnel who want to do it. And a lot of employees, they become disengaged because they don't understand what's happening if the systems are overly complex. So the idea is to find those real effective, simple solutions to problems that customers can wrap their heads around, and it's easy to document and train people to do it. Those are the ones that are scalable.
Do business schools favor overcomplicated strategies?
Business schools love overcomplicated strategies. They love, to explain a business strategy in a 5-page or 10-page paper. And if you try to explain a strategy in a customer in a 5-page or 10-page paper, they're never even going to read the paper. Most of them are never going to read it. Most, busy consumers or even small business owners, they're not going to read these 10-page papers. So, business schools, they favor these overcomplicated strategies, but I think the market actually favors the simplistic strategies, and I believe Warren Buffett has the line on that, how business schools favor complexity and the business world favors simplicity.
Are most good business strategies boring and simple?
A lot of really good business strategies are really boring and really simple. I mean, let's look at people who want more customers for their business, and we tell them, go gather more Google reviews. And then they gather 4 Google reviews, and then they come back and say, what should I do now? And we tell them, go gather more Google reviews. They want some brand new, shiny, more complex. They want something even easier to do. Can I automate that? Can I do a click funnel or something like that? And a lot of the good business strategies are super simple. And they think, there's these 100 general contractors and I'm a sub-trade and I want to get in touch with them and I want to develop some LinkedIn advertising campaign. And I just say, well, have you tried calling all 100 of them over and over and over and over again? They don't like that strategy because it's not shiny and new, but it tends to work very, very well. And there's a lot of good strategies that are like that are really boring. We have to recognize our natural biases against these strategies, and often they are the strategies that we should be adopting.
Do successful entrepreneurs often have the ability to execute repetitive tasks?
They do. So a lot of successful entrepreneurs, the reason why they're successful is because they found something that worked. They continued to do it. They didn't look for an easier way. They didn't, latch on to the latest and greatest idea. They found something. They found that it worked, and they did it over and over, week after week, and month after month, and year after year, until they had this momentum that no one else in their industry, could catch them on it because they were so good at it, and they had this ability to execute or manage these repetitive tasks and keeps their teams on these repetitive tasks. And they execute a lot of times, even if they are looking for a new initiative, they continue to execute these proven strategies and then try new strategies on the side, and they either add those new strategies to what's already working, or they only replace the existing once it's proven beyond any shadow of a doubt that it's better.
Do book smarts often lead to trying to better a way rather than executing?
Yes, I think sometimes book smarts can be the detriment of the entrepreneur. because they will continually look for a better way, and all the time that they spend looking for a better way will start to infringe upon the time that they actually should spend executing. And most of the strategies, both the ones that we have today and the ones that we're going to find tomorrow, we have to execute them for a considerable amount of time before they even start to work. So if your intelligence is always drawing you to find a better way, you are never going to put enough time into a proven way for it actually to gain any traction for you. You're going to switch, too quickly. Let's say an outbound call strategy, for example. There's a lot of, evidence to suggest that you got to reach out to these people, 5, 10, 15, 20 times before it's going to be effective. But you simply, discard it after reaching out to them once or twice and move on to something else because it was, new and exciting and more complex and, had that shiny object syndrome. So sometimes you got to realize that those book smarts, that natural inquisitiveness is actually distracting you from actually executing something proven over and over again to yield success. So I think that's what we have here today. As always, please hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds at business. And we look forward to any comments that you have so we can respond back and use your input for future videos. Thanks very much.